Now, you wouldn't think a movie about the afterlife starring great comedian Albert Brooks and dramatic actress Meryl Streep would work, but here it does. It was kind of, not say forgotten, in the early 90s because we had a very busy movie releases in 90 and 91, but it's gained cult status over time because it's part of that Lost in America Albert Brooks oeuvre. Now it's called Defending Your Life. This 91 American romantic comedy fantasy film is about a man, Brooks, who finds himself on trial in the afterlife where proceedings examine his lifelong fears. It will be done to determine whether it be yet again reincarnated on Earth or move on to the next phase of existence. Written, directed, and starring Brooks, the film also stars Streep, Rip Torn, Lee Grant, and Buck Henry. Despite comedic overtones, the film also contains elements of drama and allegory. And it's a first cousin, really, to the Truman Show because it's that type of introspective comedy. Now, in this one, LA advertising executive Daniel Miller dies in a car accident on his 29th birthday, largely due to his distractingness about his new CD player. He's eventually sent to Judgment City, a kind of temporary paradise for recently deceased. The city is a waiting area staffed by highly intelligent and efficient, but largely condescending bureaucrats who, having themselves moved on to their current new universal phase, mostly seem to gingerly look down on new arrivals who will have their lives or most recent lives on Earth judged over a week long or so hearing, each before two judges. Amenities and activities are provided, from delicious calorie free all you can eat buffets to bowling alleys and comedy clubs. Now, Daniel's defense attorney, played by Bob Diamond, explains that people from Earth use so little of their brains that they spend most of their lives functioning based on their fears. Not me, but most people. If the court determines that Daniel's conquered these fears, he will be sent on to the next phase of existence where he will be able to use more of his brain and thus be able to experience more of what the universe has to offer. Otherwise, his soul will be reincarnated at Earth to live another life in another attempt at moving past his fears. Now, Daniel's tribunal, presided over by two judges, Diamond argues that Daniel should move on to the next phase, but his formidable opponent, prosecutor Lena Foster, great performance by Grant that he should have been nominated, takes the opposing argument. Each utilizes video-like footage from select days in Daniel's life to make the case to the judges. Now, during his stay in Judgment City, Daniel meets and falls in love quickly with Julia, a recently deceased woman who lived a seemingly perfect life of courage and generosity, especially compared to his, which also explains why her fancy hotel lodgings are so much nicer than the Spartan motel-like room. Yes, but in the show, if she was in love with her husband, why is she so attracted to Brooks? Now, following each day's proceedings, Daniel and Julia spend time exploring Judgment City, including the Pavilion of Past Lives, hosted by a version of Shirley MacLaine, famous for outspoken belief in reincarnation, where people can see all their past lives, often quite shockingly dictomious. One of Brooks' former lives is a soldier being chased down by animals, while Meryl Streep character is like a brave kind of middle ages knight. Now, in the meantime, things do not go well for Daniel. Foster shows a series of episodes in which he never managed to overcome his fears, and was various other bad decisions and mishaps, while Diamond vigorously attempts to portray Daniel's actions on a positive light, sometimes praising his client's restraint and thoughtfulness. Now, before the last day of Daniel's hearing, Julie asks Daniel to spend the night with her, but despite his strong feelings for her, he declines. The next day, Foster plays footage of Daniel's previous night with Julia over Diamond's objections. Foster argues that clearly underscores Daniel's fear and lack of courage. The next day is ruled that Daniel will return to Earth, while Julia is judged worthy to move on. Before saying goodbye, Diamond comforts Daniel with the knowledge that the court is not infallible, and just because Foster won, it doesn't mean she's right. But Daniel remains disappointed. Now, the Rip Torn character, there's a scene where they're sitting down for a meal together, and literally, the Rip Torn character, I don't know if there was just a bad sight gag, is eating shit. And he said, once you get used to it, you don't notice the taste. I don't know exactly what Albert Brooks or the writers were thinking of but it's just a completely bizarre scene that, I don't know, was there for shock value, but if that's supposed to be my judge, I say, fuck that, you're eating shit. You're not going to support me anymore. So, but Brooks, like I said, this is his vision, not mine. Now, when Daniel boards a train poised to return to Earth, when Julia yells at him from a different train, he managed to desperately unstrap himself, claw open the door and leap, dodging under her trams and suffering minor electrical shocks to get on Julia's tram. She is unable to open the door and he's unable to enter her tram. He clings to the outside of the moving vehicle, banging on the door and trying to pry it open. She yells in vain for the driver to stop. They tell each other they love each other. The scene pulls back to show the entire event has been watched on closed circuit TV by Diamond, Foster, and the judges in the chamber where Daniel's hearing took place. Diamond remarks to Foster, "Brave enough for you?" It gives him a slight smiling acknowledgement. One judge whispers to the other, who then sends a message, "Order the tram doors open." Daniel and Julia are reunited, applauded by the other passengers, and embrace as they're allowed to move on to their next phase of existence together. But it comes across as the the last scene of the infamous Dustin Hoffman movie, as we say. Now, directed and written by Brooks, produced by Robert Grant and Michael Grillo and Herb Nanas. Cinematography Alain Daviau, edited by David Finfer. Music by Errol Gardner and Michael Gore of the Gore family group. Geffen put it out to Warner Brothers, 111 minutes, and did a decent at the box office, 16.4. Now, again, Shirley MacLaine had the cameo appearance. Now, Brooks worked on the story for 2 years. I wanted the equation to be a non-religious and non-heaven life, like afterlife. And I think the most interesting thing about the movie is what it says about Earth. Self-examination got a bad rap with all the yuppies turning inward. Now, Streep was announced for the cast in November '89. Brooks explained that friends with Carrie Fisher, and he worked together in Postcards from the Edge. We had dinner. Meryl joked and said, "Is there a part for me?" I said, "Yeah, right." I would never have thought of her because I thought she was unapproachable. She's remarkably approachable. She's so average is ridiculous. Now, filming began February 12th, 1990. A January 90 news release described the plot as a fantasy about overcoming fears. Now, some scenes were shot at Miles Square Park in Fountain Valley, Irvine, and Anaheim, California. A scene where comedian Roger Burr plays the worst comedian in the history of civilization was filmed at the Comedy Store in West Hollywood. During production, around 1,000 extras were hired by the WB at a cost of $200,000. So you do the math on that. Now, the film was released on March 22nd, 1991. Overwhelmingly positive reviews for critics and a 98% rating on Rotten Tomatoes based on 41 reviews. And a consensus summarizes Brooks softens his trademark caustic humor and proves he's very, very good. He's funny when he's tugging heartstrings. Now, NPR did say the result is not just his most mature comedy yet, but the best American comedy in years. Now, it received 3 Science Fiction Saturn Award nominations for Best Actress, Streep, Best Fantasy Film, and Best Writing, and it was nominated in the AFI 100 Years, 100 Laughs category. Now, regarding the response from the fans over the years, Brooks told Rolling Stone, "I've gotten thousands and thousands of letters from people who had relatives that were dying themselves, and the movie made them feel better. I guess it's because it presents some possibility that doesn't involve clouds and ghostly images." Now, released on the VHS and Laserdisc in October 91, later released on DVD, and the re-released the film, Warner, of course, in a 2-pack DVD, with Brooks looking for comedy in the Muslim world. Now, in December 2020, Warner Archive re-released the movie on DVD, and Criterion put out Defending Your Life and Lost America will be part of a Steam film library on Blu-ray and DVD, which came out in 2021. Now, the inspirations for this come from different categories, including a movie called What Dreams May Come, which is a novel by Richard Matheson, adapted into a movie of the same name, starring Robin Williams in '98, which explores similar themes. Now, I really think this movie is a sweet, like it's a piece of caramel, and it could have been a TV miniseries in a long run. But Streep, a very underrated performance, and Albert Brooks basically plays himself. I would give this movie 3 stars out of 4. Again, I don't like Rip Torn, he's an idiot. And so seeing him in eat shit kind of put me off for 10 minutes in the movie. But the scene where the waiter gives Meryl Streep the biggest pasta dish ever, and Brooks is giving I don't know how many pies, what it was, and it's pretty weird how it goes. It's like everybody's acting like this is normal. They have the Weather Channel, 72 degrees, and they have a talk show and stuff like that. So, but the afterlife comes across as not say boring, but kind of predictable, and that's what movies are, predictable, especially about heaven, whether you believe it or not. So, ladies and gentlemen, like what you're doing here with our 1990 vintage podcast reviews. Let us know what a like, comment, subscribe, or share. Bye.